Hey kids! Here to make a video. I've been really busy this weekend and I'm kind of a little tired right now. Don't have a lot of energy, but I still wanted to commit to my making a video every weekend. So I'm just going to do kind of a short, simple video. It's going to be on my top 10 DVDs in my DVD collection. So we'll just get right into it. So my first one, or number 10, I should say, is Open Water. This movie is basically about this couple who goes on, they're on vacation, they go scuba diving, their scuba boat leaves them, and so it's kind of the story of what happens to them. Just two people stranded out in the middle of the ocean. So the reason I like this movie a lot is I think that's a very interesting story, and the way it was written was good enough that it kept my attention. And also it's one of those kind of stories where you're just like, oh my gosh, what would I do if I was in that situation? So really good movie. Number 9, American History X. I like this movie just because at the time when this kind of came out, it kind of really did show what the kind of skinhead kind of subculture was about. Me growing up, definitely being like a goth, hanging out with punks. Back when I was growing up, I mean, everybody in the alternative scene was kind of like, we would all go to the same clubs and everything. So, you know, a lot of people never got to see actually how skinheads actually were unless you were kind of in the scene. So this movie kind of definitely showed exactly what it was like. So I thought that was amazing. And Edward Norton is freaking awesome in this. So, but that's my number 9. Number 8, Over the Hedge. I love this movie. It's just a silly movie, you know, that I like. But it's basically these, this raccoon teaches these forest animals, you know, introduces them to people food and then gets them all into kind of addicted to the people food. And of course, you know, chaos ensues. So this is really good. My favorite character is actually Hammy. He's the squirrel. He's like a super hyperactive squirrel. Love him though. Especially when I first saw this movie, people just thought I annoyed people to death. Let me just be honest. Because there's a little line in the movie that I just would say all the time because he was so cute when he said it. I'm not going to say it. But it has to do with a cookie. So if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is my number 8. Number 7. I don't really have a visual for it. You can kind of see here, Eat, Pray, Love. This is a Redbox cover though, because when I saw it, like, I just never returned it to Redbox and just paid for the movie. But of course, I love this movie. If you followed some of my videos, you kind of know why. I've read the book after the movie though. The movie, of course, is kind of my profound, transformation movie, so to speak, or not maybe profound transformation, but at the time that this movie came out, the things that she was going through in the movie, I was also going through. So it's pretty amazing to me. So I like it kind of for sentimental reasons. So that was number 7, I think. Right, 7. Next one is number 6, Final Cut. So this movie was kind of interesting. This is basically about a guy, Robin Williams, who is a cutter. So essentially what that means is this is kind of set in the future where people can have like a camera inserted into their brain, their eyes. I don't remember where, but it's somewhere, you know, in the head area. And it basically records their entire life. And a cutter at the end of their life will edit the footage, and then this is what you would, and then the edited footage would be what is shown at like the memorial. So it was very interesting. I like the idea a lot. Now, what ends up happening is, it just kind of shows how, how this whole premise of being a cutter is. And cutters are not allowed to have the device because, of course, they would be filming people's other footage. So when they die, everybody would see, every person they've ever, edited footage for. So what ends up happening, though, is Robin Williams, without knowing, because I believe he was adopted, finds out he has the camera in his device in his head. And so, of course, there goes, there's the conflict, there's the drama. So very, very interesting movie. I like the whole idea. But that's my number 6. Number 5, Legend. Love Legend. It's just a fantasy movie. It has a wonderful soundtrack. Tangerine Dream actually does a soundtrack. I love it. But it's just basically a fantasy. Has unicorns and, like a prince and princess and fairies. And Tim Curry is like the demon-looking guy you see there. So just fun. It's an older movie, but again, really, really great. One of my favorite scenes is the seduction scene. And what that is it's just this dance scene that ends up in the movie, and it's really, really awesome. And anybody that's seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, very good movie. Number 4, What Dreams May Come. So another Robin Williams movie. So this is basically about like a husband and wife. The husband ends up dying, Robin Williams, and he experiences kind of like, the life after death and what that's like. And then he has to, kind of go through and he's trying to find his family, and and it kind of is interesting because it shows how, beautiful an afterlife can be and how it's something that we would maybe imagine, like we create it, when we've passed on. Also, I think it's a good movie about mourning, because it ends up that the husband, Robin Williams, and the wife, I forgot her name, the wife is left alive. And so it shows her kind of mourning and how she handles it. So very, very good movie. Very, very beautiful, I think. And uplifting as well. So that's my number... What is this? Number 4. All right. Number 3. The Legend of 1900. Love this movie. Oh, this movie every freaking time I'll cry. Without fail. So this movie is basically about a baby that was found on a boat. Now this was set in obviously 1900, but the main portion of the movie is like the 20s and the 30s. The Legend of 1900 is basically this baby that was found on a ship, and he's named 1900, and he lives his entire life on a ship. So again, it's one of those just very interesting movies or ideas that you're like, whoa, how is this going to work out? And he ends up being like this really kind of like genius, like with playing piano and things like that. But yeah, it just kind of shows how his life kind of transpires on this ship. And, the relationships he has with people that are also on the ship. So, very good movie, but yeah, it makes me cry every single time, but amazing. All right, number 2, almost done here. Number 2, Anonymous. So, very good movie as well. I like this movie because basically this is a movie that is putting forth the idea that William Shakespeare did not write his own plays. That actually there was a duke that wrote them, gave them to William Shakespeare, and then he, went ahead and like put them on or whatever. So it's very, very interesting to have, kind of think of that idea of, an actual, not the actual author writing these plays. And it's interesting too because it also shows you know, the Duke that is writing them, that you know, he'll never be, you know, he'll never have credit for it ever, because of just the, you know, the way society was back then. So it's very, very interesting. But again, I like movies that kind of have these alternative kind of strange ideas, and this is one of them. So, and then lastly, my number one of my DVD collection is Crash. I think this is an awesome movie. I think it definitely speaks to how we are, particularly in America, how we deal with race and racial stereotypes, and just, you know, loneliness, and, you know, being in a big city, and just dealing with a lot of different people, and the hostility and that, so forth. I'm trying to think what else I can say about it, but I mean, it's an amazing movie, and it's interesting because it kind of shows like the conflicts of the, you know, racial stereotypes and so forth, but then it ends up that the characters all kind of start crashing into each other, and because of coming across each other with these racial stereotypes and having these feelings and acting out in certain ways, they actually learn that whatever they thought was not necessarily true. So very, very good movie. I love it to death. But yep, those are all the top 10 videos or DVDs of my DVD collection. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to go ahead and let me know if you've seen any of these and what you thought, or also just let me know what your top 10 DVDs are in your collection. That would be great. So for now, I will just say have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. All right, take care. Bye.